Hello again, everyone. It's Magic Dave here, and this is Sapiens. It's been a while. Sorry. I've just been focusing on making, working on the game. And it's. I don't know. I just really want to get this game out, and I haven't had a huge amount to talk about. I guess most of what I've been doing is kind of little things, a lot of like UI improvements, quality of life improvements, AI improvements, just bug fixes, loads and loads and loads of little things. And it's kind of, it's taken a while for some of the big feature items to kind of build up. But also, it's been a good process where I've been sending it out to alpha testers and getting all the feedback and stuff. And it's just, it just hasn't felt like I've needed to do a video for a while. But I do want to keep you guys informed and keep you up to date when that things are actually happening and I haven't fallen off the face of the earth. I'm still here. I'm still working on this game, and it's going well. This video I've got quite a lot to talk about. We've got some new sort of vocal recordings. I'll talk a little bit about that. We've got Flax, and we've got new tools and things that I've added content-wise. We've got these new staircase bits. I've just built this to kind of test it out. We've got some new kind of snapping behaviors and things. We've got the new logistics user interface I'm going to show you. Yeah, so first up, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about the language. So the Sapiens speak in Tokipona, and that is a constructed language, which is basically perfect for a game, and certainly for Sapiens, because it's quite a primitive kind of sounding language, and just suits it really well. So what I've done is I found a bunch of phrases, or came up with a bunch of phrases, and my wife actually recorded the sound effects for the women, and my son Ethan recorded the sound effects for the kids. So we sort of sat down, and he did an amazing job. Actually, I'm very proud of his ability to voice act as a 7-year-old. We recorded a lot of sound effects, and I'm just sort of playing them fairly randomly at the moment, sort of going through them for each Sapien. He's just squeezing his way through a bush for some reason. But yeah, so there's a lot more variety now in what they'll say, and I sort of toned it back a bit. Even though they're sitting around, they're not constantly talking. It was a bit full on for a little while there, but it's just sort of balancing the quantity of sound effects. So onto Flax. So we've added this new Flax growing plant. You can gather it, and then it'll dry out. So this is, I think, all dry flax, which will rot next year, so we've got to use it. Once you've got dry flax, you can then craft it into flax twine. We're just gathering through the window. And you get some flax seeds as well if you want to plant some more flax. There's one of the nice little things with building. You can now basically click on anything and kind of create another version of it. So we click on flax, we can say plant flax, and then immediately go and just queue up a bunch of plant orders. So that's a nice new addition. So the flax twine you can use to craft pickaxes and hatchets, and it's also required now to craft stone spears as well. So hatchets are a better tool for chopping down trees, dealing with wood, and pickaxes can be used to mine the boulders that you see over here, so you can get more rocks, which you do need. You start to you tend to kind of clear out all the loose rocks in an area around where you are, and then eventually you need to start mining some more. But you can also, so this is sort of like an open pit mine here that one of the testers has been working on. So he's probably mined out a bunch of clay, but you can then start mining into this as limestone, and we've got some plain rock over here. So with pickaxes you can now dig into that to get rock. I've also been working quite a lot on the building materials, the things that you can build, and how the snapping mechanisms work for the UI as well. You could make staircases before, or sort of ramps. You could position floors on an angle and they'd walk up them, or you could put individual planks in, but it wasn't ideal. It was a bit cumbersome, especially if you're doing individual planks. So now there is actually a couple of different staircase pieces, depending on whether you want to sort of go up on a steep gradient or a more shallow gradient, and they all kind of snap nicely to where you want to place them and stuff. Snapping. Yeah, I've done a lot of work on that. It's been an iterative thing that I've done all through development. It's a challenge, and I don't know if there's a kind of widely accepted way good way of doing it. So I've just figured it out by myself. Yeah, so there's a bunch of individual nodes that I actually configure by hand in Lua scripts for each model or each type of model. So columns sort of have a node at each end, and then I configure what they can snap to and in what orientations and things. Columns actually became a little bit more challenging because you've kind of got, you do have a direction, but the player might not necessarily want to snap it to a particular orientation. This is gridless. There is no grid in Sapiens. You can build things in any angle you like, but that can cause troubles for the player. I mean, that means that if there was no snapping and no kind of orientation of things, then you'd have to really carefully line everything up all the time. So it's been a balancing act, but I think it's working quite well. I can snap that to there. I've added a bunch of new tools, new controls and stuff that you can see on the bottom right there, a list of them, so I can actually move this up and down to make it snap. Like if I wanted to snap it at the bottom, then I can move it down, snap at the top, and I can actually move it across and have it snap on an edge or even a corner. So you can see it kind of allows you to snap things like that, and then you can snap roofs to columns as well, or snap them to floors, or I think it really works the way that I expect. I think I've had pretty good feedback from the testers as well, and I've played a lot of games that have different snapping mechanics for things like this. It's not an unsolved problem, but it's one that you do need to come up with your own solution, and in Sapiens with no grid, it certainly makes it more challenging. So now I'll probably talk a little bit about the new roots management system, the kind of logistics in Sapiens. So right from the beginning, I kind of wanted this game to be a little bit like, sort of supply chain management sort of stuff. So I think that was one of the main goals of this game. I was playing a bit of Factorio at the time. So, Factorio is an inspiration for Sapiens, even though it might not appear that way. Previously, you could actually configure a storage area, say I want those bricks to be taken over there, and basically send stuff from storage area to storage area. And I sort of hoped that might be enough, but it really wasn't. It was hard to manage all your routes and hard to know what's going on, and even the UI was a bit difficult to use too. So I've changed all of that now. So we've got a new panel to actually manage all of your routes. So you can go through and you can actually zoom to individual things from there. You can modify the routes from in here. And you can get to them from storage areas themselves too. So if I wanted to say send all this flint into a storage area in here, then I can go in and manage storage and add a new storage route from here. So that's created the sort of first waypoint of the route, and then I can say, okay, I want them to all be moved over here, and then that should be enough to kind of get things happening. Everyone's asleep. Let me just cheat to wake them all up. So I just had to wake them all up. I'd skipped through the night just because it was dark and I was trying to show you what was going on, but then everyone got tired, so I had to cheat to make them all feel happy. Anyway, so now that that's happened, they've all got to action because all of them were just sitting around with nothing to do because, I've just been messing around and not actually playing the game properly. And so they were all ready as soon as that store order became available. They've all just come over and started picking up all of the flint over here. You can actually configure this so I can say, actually, I don't want that many Sapiens to do it. Maybe I just want 9 Sapiens to do it, and then they're all going to go away except for 9 of them. So you've got a lot more control now of how many Sapiens are going to be delivering what. So now maybe we want to extend this route a little bit. So we'll just go in here and inspect this route, and we'll go add stops. So we've got currently just flint from there to there, but let's make this a circular route. So let's then make them go to pick up some hay and take the hay over here. That looks like it should all work. So now when they go through it, they should then go from here to there, pick up the hay and head over. So it allows you to set up nice sort of circular routes, and especially useful, not so useful in little situations like this, but when you're going over large areas, if you want to go way into the distance where there's some resource that you don't have nearby, then that's the way that you do that. In fact, there's some red rock over here, so that might be a nice resource that you want to create some visually interesting decorative items or something. So you'd be able to set up a storage route to take food over there for anyone who's over there and bring red rock back. So another thing that I found that was really required to make the game a little bit more, to give you a bit more control, was that sometimes, let me just pause it, sometimes you actually don't want a certain person doing a certain task, or you want someone else to do that task. So let's get a gather our apples order. So initially we've got this order marker to say that we've got an order associated with this tree. Now if I press play, suddenly she's got up. She was the closest appropriate sapien that the task scheduler decided, and she's going to come over and harvest these apples. But let's say I didn't really want her to do that. Maybe someone else is a bit further away but is hungry, and I'd like them to go and do it, and I'd like her to do something else. Well, now I can actually go and say, go in here, and I can actually assign a different sapien, and I can just come over and say, no, I want you to do it. So now it's assigned to him. She'll immediately stop, go sit back down, and he's going to come over and do it. So that's definitely something, it's not sort of a necessity, but it's something that I just felt was kind of something that I really wanted to have before early access launch, and it's something that comes in handy quite a bit. Okay, so next I wanted to show you the bone flute and the music system that we've got. So as you can see, they're also wearing cloaks now. So it's winter here, it's cold. We've got a temperature little text up in the top left there saying it's very cold, which will change depending on the season and the location in the world. And so they actually will take off their cloaks and put them on again as they're required. And you find all that a cloak is just a wool skin. So this is a mammoth wool skin that's just spawned up in the world nearby when you loaded the world. And there's a few of these just scattered about. The idea is that an animal's died and left this resource here that you can use to keep your sapiens warm so that they can actually survive the first winter. But you'll run out as you get to sort of 100 sapiens. There are not 100 wool skins around here, so you're going to have to start hunting. So you'll get a wool skin from alpaca and from mammoth, as well as the new resource, which is bones. Bones also will spawn around near wool skins occasionally. So bones can now be used to create tools. You've got bone knives and spears and things, but they can also be used to create flutes. So I've made a few of them here. There's skills all kind of associated with that too. So you need to research bones to be able to discover how to carve them, and then you'll then need to craft a flute and learn how to play it. So the sapiens themselves have traits. This sapien is charismatic and a slow learner. There's a new trait which is musical. So all sapiens will get a positive status effect from listening to flute music or listening to any kind of music. And musical sapiens will actually require that, or they'll get a negative status effect. But they've got the bonus of being quicker at learning to play the flute, and getting more enjoyment out of it. So it's sort of nicely balanced. I think it works quite well. They'll actually, if they've got a musical need, so just like they've got happiness and loyalty, they've also got the hunger need and various other things, temperature needs and stuff. They've also got a musical need now. But the idea is if they've got the skill to play a flute, then they will, once their need gets above a certain level, they'll just go and pick up a flute and start playing it. Or you can actually manually say, hey, we want you to go and play this flute. And when they play the flute, their need gets fulfilled, and they'll actually get a bonus positive status effect here, which will make them happier. So this sapien is skilled in the flute, and that's why it sounds quite nice. When they're learning, they've got a different set of samples that they're going to play through that are not quite so nice sounding, but still okay. They're not going to distract you from the game, but they've got a progression there where they're going to learn how to play. And when they've got the skill, nearby Sapiens will actually get that bonus enjoyed music status effect too, and generally increase the happiness. It also has a loyalty bonus too, where it will just add an extra half a star or something to loyalty. I thought that if they're partaking in music together, then it sort of makes sense that they'd be a bit more loyal to the tribe and less likely to leave if they're particularly unhappy. So these music samples were provided by John Konsolakis, who has done most of the soundtrack for Sapiens as well. He's recorded these samples, and they really do sound very cool, particularly when they do just automatically go over and pick up a flute and start playing, and you're busy somewhere else and you come over and someone's just doing a little flute solo. It's very cool. I know, I'd like to add some other instruments too. I'm talking with John about that, so we're probably going to add maybe a drum and some slight variations on the flute as well. Okay, so I've opened up another Tessa's World here because I just wanted to show you swimming. So before they would just walk down below the bottom of the sort of surface of the water. They didn't handle water at all well. They just walk along the bottom. But now, they will sort of wade in a bit slower and then do a sort of breaststroke animation with some little ripples and things. I do want to add a few more little splash particle effects and stuff, and some sound effects, which I haven't quite got to yet. But it's at least functionally all working. They do avoid swimming if they can, so they'll walk around the water's edge and stuff, and try to avoid going through the water. So I've done all the pathfinding work for that. Yeah, so I guess swimming's kind of one of those things where if it wasn't, if you don't play by the water, you don't even see it. So it's kind of almost a nice to have, and yet it's a necessity at the same time, because if they start walking around the bottom of the ocean, then you break that immersion. So I'm getting to the point in the game where I'm needing to do that kind of stuff, which is good. It's getting there. This world, incidentally, it's pretty cool what they've actually created here. One of the testers built this big long bridge out of split logs, which he's had to chop down from all the trees around the place. He's got a big wheat farm here and some flax, and he's sort of a bakery going on here, sort of making all the flour and making flatbreads probably. They'll be baking flatbreads on these fires. There's one there. He's also actually built, he's in the process of building a raised platform that goes all the way up this hill, and goes really quite a long way up. So it's amazing seeing this all kind of working, I guess. I know that I'm doing my best to kind of make things performant and make it scale well and make it be able to save everything out and not go completely crazy. But to actually see someone put in the hours here of playing to actually make these. Someone's sleeping on nothing there. Don't know what's going on there. Oh, I think the bed's just shifted. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's just a bug. It's all right. I've got that on the list. I don't know. It's coming together, and it's just kind of proof that this game works. It does what it says on the box, and I think I've kind of pulled it off. The next 6 months or so will be all about just tidying up loose ends, like sorting out that issue with the Sapiens sleeping in midair. There's a lot of little things like that, sort of corner cases, things that just happen when they shouldn't. It feels like soon I'd have a product that if I had to, I could push it out in early access, and I'd feel pretty proud of it. So it's good to be at that point. All right, so I think I'm going to leave the devlog there for today. As you can see, it's getting there. It's coming along, and there is still some work to do. I think there's quite a lot of content yet to add. That's going to be the focus over the next few months, as well as sort of just tidying up those last few loose ends before I can finally get it out to early access. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in a few months. Cheers.